Thanks so much for joining us here. You're watching a previously recorded episode of our Bluebeam webinar series, Cold Brew and Review. You can join us live on the first Wednesday of each month. Our expert, David Campbell, will show you how to use this amazing tool. And all of our live sessions have a moderated Q&A, so you can have all of your questions answered in real time. We hope to see you next month, and for now, on to the episode.
All right, thank you so much, Rain. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Like Rain said, I'm very, very excited for this episode because we do have Joey Whitney joining us. So today, we kind of talked about this during the last webinar. We talked about some of the different versions or what has kind of changed with Review 21. And we wanted to dive further into that with breaking down the subscriptions. So that's really our focus for today. We're going to dive in and really figure out what the subscriptions are, kind of where the features are. And I brought Joey along to really help me break that down and talk about the ins and outs between the different subscriptions and what that licensing looks like. So as always, I generally like to start us off with a brief introduction of TSS, right? Topcon Solutions. Topcon Solution Stores, and who we are. Well, we are the direct retail or direct sales retail division of Topcon Positioning Systems. I do need to update this number. I kind of talk about this one every episode as we start getting new stores because we are growing. As we start getting new stores on here, I'm going to make sure to update with the different locations that we have here in the US. Now, the way that it typically happened before, what was Topcon Solutions is we had traditionally sold products through a channel of independent specialty dealers. But really, since the early 2000s, we saw a lot of things were contributing to a needed change in that model. And really, TSS or Topcon Solution Stores, we represent that change as a consolidation of the formerly independent dealers into now a national manufacturer direct retail organization. But what does that mean for when we talk about Bluebeam and we talk about some of the other softwares in the AEC industry? Well, Topcon Solution Stores, we kind of offer a different model than your typical, let's say, independent dealer or reseller, in the fact that we service the entire, let's say, civil construction, vertical construction, the entire construction marketplace. That a lot of the older independent dealers really couldn't provide, not only with services, but hardware sales, software sales, training, consulting, and providing content like these webinars. So for today, I am bringing in Joey Whitney, a regional account executive. Joe, you want to tell the folks on here a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I am a regional account executive, or whatever title suits me today, I guess, right? I focus on all things BIM, construction, civil, software, and also integrating it with hardware and all that fun stuff. Happy to be here today and dive through some of this licensing with you, Dave.
All right, thank you so much, Joe. We're happy to have you on. And as always, guys, grab your coffee or your water and let's dive in. So I'm going to start with Joe here.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Sorry, I was taking a sip of coffee as you said that. So for those of our the listeners, viewers, what have you, familiar with Bluebeam, there was this change, right? So the old model was this perpetual, say, version 20 and before, and it had 3 basic packages, and some similarities with the new subscription model. Again, 3 basic packages. You got CAD, standard CAD and Extreme for the old model, and basic, core, and complete. So Bluebeam has migrated away from the perpetual to subscription model, obviously. There isn't much of a one-to-one between the versions. It's more than just rebranding, right? So Dave and I, we're going to get into some of the features, the changes that have happened, because some of the functionality from standard CAD and Extreme has shifted between the versions as they moved over to subscription. Mm-hmm. And as such, though, they're giving all existing perpetual users with active maintenance a free upgrade to complete, so the highest tier. So if you had standard before under perpetual and you did this upgrade to subscription, you would get complete for the same price you're paying now. So the price for maintenance users, to move to subscription again has stayed the same. You likely notice maybe a slight price increase as Bluebeam has done this across the board, but that price is the same whether you're on maintenance or subscription. You're migrating from maintenance to subscription. And moving to subscription obviously gives you, the benefits of version 21, the higher level of, version under complete, as well as new cloud functionality, which you've gone over in other episodes and done a tremendous job of, man.
Yeah, I found that the new cloud functionality has been pretty awesome. Now, Joe, what about users with current maintenance that are looking to add more users?
Yeah, so I mean, it varies by situation, but it may be more cost effective to add to perpetual licenses prior to moving to subscription. This ensures your licenses get grandfathered into that Bluebeam maintenance pricing while they're still allowing it, of course.
All right, and what about for users that are not currently on maintenance, but they're looking at potentially wanting to upgrade?
Well, in that situation, I say, reach out to us directly and we can provide some more details, as there are avenues for us and options for us to get you that upgrade and to do so with grandfathered in licensing.
All right,
And
and then for brand new customers?
new customers, it remains subscription remains the only option at current moment. All right, so open licensing, right? Maybe we should talk about open licensing first. For those of you that aren't familiar, open licensing, well, with the old perpetual licensing, there was a script. It was technically a subscription model, predating the current subscription model called open licensing. If you weren't aware, open licensing was essentially a multi-user license that worked on a first come, first serve basis. So you buy a pool of licenses and, you check in, check out essentially. It was perfect for firms with, part-time users. That said, Bluebeam recognizes that there may be some disruption in having to replace your existing users with named user licensing, the new subscription model. So for that reason, they're allowing a 5-for-1 trade-in. 5-for-1, what does that mean? Obviously, 5 licenses for your one open license. So, typically with open licensing, what we saw was a 3-for-1 usage. So meaning if they had, 3 users, they would buy 1 license per. Well, Bluebeam is going to make up for that and give you 5 licenses for 1 open license.
I think that's pretty awesome. It's pretty nice. I know that, a lot of the people that we talk to who are using the open licensing, utilizing that pool, that's kind of the number that kind of made sense, was that 3 users, so that essentially when one user checked out that license, when they were done with it, they'd check it back in within a few minutes. It was ready for another user to go ahead and check out, and they didn't need to pay for each perpetual seat of review to go onto those computers. It was also nice if they had a take-home computer as well, or a work, office computer and a take-home computer. That worked pretty nicely for those.
Oh yeah, large engineering firms that had beefy desktops and laptops, and they were, having to buy a license for each one of those, and that doesn't end up being cost effective in the long run. So open licensing made much more sense. Another option though, and to open licensing, it was just, an additional option at the time for perpetual seats. So you buy the perpetual with the maintenance, but you can add on this thing called enterprise. So there were additional perks that you could subscribe to. So enterprise allowed companies to have a portal to manage their licenses. So not only, um, have your seats that are locked down to the computer and all that fun stuff, but you actually had a portal where you could go in and access it. If you didn't have subscribed to enterprise, you didn't have this portal. Another benefit of enterprise is there was like a temporary 5% allotment, overage allotment. So if you exceeded your license count by, up to 5%, you got free licenses essentially baked into that entitlement, where, you might be adding people while other people are leaving and there was a transition period, or maybe you brought somebody on and you hadn't, provided a license to them just yet. This allowed an overage. And one of the best things IT firms loved is it automatically releases the licenses from computers that haven't communicated with the license server after 15 days. So it means after 15 days, that license was freed up. I know that's a big issue for licensing is, do you actually need that license? Did you just use it once and never, haven't touched it in 2 weeks? This actually allowed them a way to free up the licenses.
Yes, sir. And you were talking about the gateway portal, right?
Yeah. So there was a gateway portal. Now with the new version, it's an admin portal, but it still provides an entitlement to the gateway portal for your perpetual users.
Ah, okay. So you can still get in there and manage your older licenses, but for Review 21 and moving forward, it'll be that admin portal.
Correct. Yeah. So firms moving from perpetual with enterprise, you'll be happy to know that that's all going to be included. So a big benefit there. And then if you don't know if you had perpetual, enterprise, or open licensing, so we asked that poll earlier, but if you're unsure of what you have, it's easy to determine. So within Bluebeam, you can view your serial information anytime. If it begins with a 1, you have a perpetual license. If it begins with a 9.8, you have a perpetual license with enterprise added on. And if it begins with a 9.6, it means you have open licensing. If you need further help in determining this, give us a call, David and I, or any of our team of experts are happy to help out.
All right. So time to get down into the nitty gritty of it all, right? Let's talk about the different versions of Review 21. And I really want to kind of talk about breaking these down and comparing them against, well, the perpetual versions, Review 20 of Standard, CAD, and Extreme. Basics, Core, and Complete. The 3 different packages within Review. What I really wanted to do was again concentrate on not only talking about how the licenses are going to translate, but I wanted to talk about the different features of these subscriptions and really break these down. And one of the best places that I've found to see the differences is honestly right on Bluebeam's website. And they give you a few ideas here right underneath, kind of letting us know that, oh yes, the key features here include digital signatures and OCR. This is actually one of the big things I wanted to make sure I called out today. The basic version is now going to have OCR, but as you guys will kind of notice as we, and especially as we get further into this kind of conversation here, there are some things that have been taken out of what was the standard version and is now basic. There are some things that have changed that have migrated over into at least core or complete. So let's get into breaking that stuff down. Now, as far as your typical usage of Bluebeam Review, basics is going to have a lot of the core functionality for placing markups, for adding photos, a lot of your document management, inserting PDFs or insert replace pages, that kind of stuff. But what you're going to notice is that they've removed some tools such as embedding your 360-degree photos and your videos in your markups with the capture tool. That's not a capability of the standard version anymore of basics. You're also going to notice that they've actually taken out the calibration. So the takeoff and estimating or the measurement workflows, in that sense, we're not going to be able to do that with basics. Also the custom statuses. I knew I wanted to call that one out as well in terms of within our markups list there, we no longer have the capability to start customizing those statuses with the basics version. Now,
I think it's safe to say that there's no 1-for-1 here. Like it's,
no.
Yeah, that's why I'm so happy that users that are migrating from perpetual automatically get complete. All that functionality that you would have gotten with Extreme and then some is built into it, and you're not going to miss because you're not starting over at basics.
Dude, I completely agree with that. I really like the fact that they're bringing them up to complete. I mean, what I'm seeing a lot of time, like you said, this is pretty much the extreme version, which the biggest difference we saw between something like let's say the standard CAD and the extreme, or let's say the core and complete in this subscription is really like the batch tools, right? A lot of the different batch tools that typically come with the extreme version, just like batch linking, batch sign and seal, slip sheeting, things like that, batch compare, batch overlay, those are still going to be there in the complete. And for one, I really love the fact that they brought those perpetual seats over to give them the complete version, because those are such awesome tools. It really makes sense to have them there. Now, another piece that I wanted to make sure I called out, because this is a big difference between what we saw previously in 20 and versions before, and moving forward with Review 21. And that one is going to be within Studio here. You're going to notice that with the basics version, we do not have the capability to create studio projects and sessions anymore. And I mean, that really just means that if someone with a core or complete license creates a studio session or project, they can invite you in, and you can still mark up and everything like that based on the permissions set for you. But you cannot create studio projects and sessions with that basic license anymore. Now, another note that I want to make on that, because we saw a lot of times in previous versions, the way that it worked was, if someone, let's say, logs in or joins, signs up for a free studio account, Bluebeam Revu, right? They download the free trial, it turns into a viewer. With that free viewer, they could join studio sessions and place markups in the session. And then once they left, it would turn back into a viewer. Well, with version 21 and forward, you will need basics to actually get into these sessions or projects and mark up. With the viewer, it is read only. Okay, so they will be able to literally only view with that free version. So we have seen that shift. I wanted to make sure that I called that out. Otherwise, the big difference that you're going to notice is that core and complete also include the cloud, right? Bluebeam Cloud. That's where a lot of that mobile functionality we talked about here in the previous episodes will come into play. You will have the capability to integrate your studio projects to pull data from the projects to your Bluebeam Cloud. You'll also have the capability to save those tool sets and push them into Bluebeam Cloud so that you can use them in the drawings or documents while you're on the mobile. Well, I want to say from the web application, not the mobile, the web application. All right, now the other piece that I wanted to make sure that I talked about is, a lot of the integrations, they're going to be the same with the core and complete version. So core is really where, again, a lot of those Revit, Navisworks, AutoCAD, those different plugins for Outlook and things like that to create Bluebeam PDFs, create those 3D PDFs, much like the CAD version before. That's where you're going to see that core functionality here. And again, that comes with complete as well. Complete really just has everything, and then the batch tools. Now, I will say there is one big difference, of course, that really also stands out with the core and complete. And this was really a common thing with CAD and Extreme before, but I wanted to make sure I called it out as well here with Quantity Link. If you want to link the Excel spreadsheet to your markups list, so as you're taking those measurements, it's updating those cells inside of that Excel spreadsheet, you will need that complete version. Now, another note that I will want to make, I gotta remember where this one is. For the summaries, there was another difference here with our summaries. With the basic version, you can create a PDF summary, but you cannot create and export a CSV summary. So let me, I believe that is right here. Yep, there it is. Okay, so with the basics version moving forward, they will be able to generate and export just the PDF summary, not the CSV or XML summaries. You will need the core or complete versions to do that. Interested, if you're looking for a free trial of Bluebeam Review, we have included a link here that you can use to download a free trial. This will, of course, be the new version. It will be Review 21, but you can download a trial there. And again, thank you all for joining us for another Cold Brew and Review. I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. See you next month.